Hello everybody, this is John and Glenn with BestPriceNutrition.com. Today we're going to talk to you guys about Schizandra. This is an herb that was recently mentioned on the Dr. Oz show, so we've gotten a lot of questions and a lot of requests from people to kind of explain what it is and what the details are on it, because sometimes they don't go into too much depth on the show. They'll just mention it and then everyone has questions. So hopefully we can clear up some of that for you guys. So Glenn, what is Schizandra?
It is an herb. It's been used for many years in Chinese medicine. It's considered what's called an adaptogenic herb, which means that it can help bring your body down to homeostasis or to a normal baseline level. So if you're overly excited, or if you're, if you're overexcited, it can help bring you down. Or if you're not excited, it can bring you up.
You need to get focused or something along those lines. Now these are the purported effects that we're going into. Exactly. We'll cover what evidence says in a minute. So,
in Chinese medicine, it's used for increasing mental and physical exercise capacities. And can improve adaptability to stress, and anti-aging, younger skin, memory, things like that. So that's the Chinese medicine uses for it.
There's a whole bouillabaisse of things that it does. And sometimes you'll see that with herbs that are like from Ayurvedic medicine or ancient Chinese medicine or things like that. And sometimes the evidence is anecdotal. And some of that anecdotal evidence leads to further research to see if the purported effects are in fact true, with a good double-blind, placebo study or things like that, where they're going to, basically see if it shakes out. So what have you found in terms of that?
There's not much evidence or not much studies done on this. I mean, there were some studies done on one of the constituents called Schizandra A, but the evidence is still lacking. There's not been much research done on its effectiveness in terms of anti-aging and things like that. A lot of that just stems back to the Chinese medicine uses for it.
So, and so there is anecdotal evidence. Always the issue with anecdotal evidence is you have a placebo effect. The mind is quite powerful in believing that if something works, then it does work, and that's hence placebo. There's also some, you get all those purported effects. There's a lot of variables and stuff too that are not adjusted for. Even in a good study, sometimes it's later adjusted for some of these variables. So there is some of that evidence. I believe in China they say it sells out before final exams. I think it was something that we had read. So with a grain of salt, I'd say you could take that. Now that being said, it's a pretty cheap, inexpensive product. So it's not like, I'm going to break the bank if I try it based on that anecdotal evidence. That may be enough in terms of your personal criteria to try something, because we can't say 100% it does or doesn't work. So
exactly, and that's the case with a lot of herbs.
It's pretty cheap. What is this price range?
I think it's $6 or $7.
Yeah, somewhere in that range. So it's less than $10. So if you feel like, hey, maybe I can try and get focused, or I'm feeling a little stressed, maybe it'll help. That's something to consider. But we just, based on our typical criteria, where we like to look for human evidence, we just weren't able to find any. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It's just there's nothing out there at this point.
Yeah, and then going into what was said on the Dr. Oz show or mentioned about this particular ingredient, is that it can stimulate the central nervous system and cause you to get an energy boost, basically, without the jitters or without consuming caffeine. He purports it for anti-aging, younger skin, memory. So the big thing he was saying was for anti-aging and younger skin. With this particular
Which usually means it might have a benefit with glycation, because glycation is thought to be what's at work there, that sugar that's left floating around in the body that can bind up with polyunsaturated fats and start to break down collagen, which is the protein that makes up your skin. Kind of that's what causes the wrinkling and the aging sometimes. So,
and it is an antioxidant too.
Okay.
Which
so we know there's some mechanisms of action. We just don't know to what degree they work, is really what it comes down to. We know what it's not only purported to do, but what the mechanisms of action are within the body. It's just a question of, how effective is it at X, Y, or Z, really. So.
And he did recommend 500 milligrams per day. The Solare Schizandra is 580 milligrams, so right there at that 500 milligram per day, and it's per capsule, so there's 100 capsules inside here. Another common question we get is, can I take this with medicine? If I'm on medication, can I take it with that? In general, we would say it should be fine, but we'd say speak with your doctor or pharmacist, because it's always important to speak with them, just to be sure. There may be something that we don't know, or a medication you're on, we may not know how it's going to interact with this, or if it will interact with it. Definitely something we'd recommend speaking with them first.
Yeah. So, and you can take it with, did you mention 7 keto?
Oh yeah, you can take it with other Dr. Oz items, the 7 keto,
Yeah, there wouldn't be any.
the GTF chromium.
It's not a nervous system stimulant, so from what we know of it, that should be okay. It's always best to double check with your physician, like Glenn said, but in terms of, with other supplements, when you take it with saffron or any of the other ones that he's mentioned recently, that's completely fine. So overall, our take is it sounds good based on the purported effects. Just the question is does it in fact do that? We don't know, is what we would say, but at $6, $7, the juice might be worth the squeeze, so to speak, to see if you get that effect. So if you guys have any other questions on it, we will be happy to answer them. Just post them in the comments section of the video or the blog. We're happy to answer them. And if anything changes where a study comes out, we'll be sure to do an updated video of it. But thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Also, check us out at facebook.com/bestpricenutrition.
Thank you.